everyone. Welcome to the Analyst of Vajiram and Ravi. In today's discussion, we will do the analysis of the following articles. Our first article is about the categorization of the security services which are accorded to the VIPs of India. And this is coming in light of the recent extension of the Z plus security by the Ministry of Home Affairs to the Kerala's governor. The second topic is about women in command, and this we are reading as to study how the women are breaking the glass ceilings in the Indian Army, and this is especially seen in the splendid exhibition of Nari Shakti at the 75th Republic Day celebration of India. Then we will do a detailed and comprehensive analysis of the need and the potential advantages of malarial vaccine. And then we will finally wind up the discussion by reading about a UNESCO World Heritage Site, that is Hampi. And why is it in news? Because of a recent controversy of the alleged imposition of a dress code over here. So in the first topic, we will be reading about the various type of security covers that are provided to the very important persons of India, the VIPs of India. And this we are reading because recently Kerala governor has been accorded or has been extended the Z plus security, the highest form of security services of India, by the Ministry of Home Affairs. This decision was taken because recently a student federation activist group has allegedly tried to hit his vehicle. So now we will be reading about the different types of security covers that are available and which security personnel are responsible for delivering the same. Now, the topic starts with what do we mean by security covers, the VIP security covers in India. So, this is a kind of graded special form of security that are provided by both central government and the state government to the VIPs of the India. Now, these VIPs could be either from government or either could be people who are of significant importance from the civil society and people who hold important and potential consequences for public, for the state. These people are provided special kind of graded security that is provided by both central and state government, and this is what we mean by the special type of security services that are given to the people. Now, who gets protected in this? So there are two categories into it. One category is when a person is getting it by the virtue of holding a position in the office. For example, Prime Minister and the family members, the immediate family members of the Prime Minister, they get it by the virtue of the office in which he sits. Second, Home Minister and some of the officials which are working for the national security, for example, National Security Advisor. So they get suo motu security cover. They get automatically entitled to the security services in India. But this is not the only case. Some of the people can also ask for it, or some of them are rendered by the discretion of Ministry of Home Affairs. So, the other category is where the security services is delivered on the basis of decision that is made by the Ministry of Home Affairs in accordance of the intelligence inputs that they get from intelligence agencies, for example, IB, RAW, etc. These intelligent inputs that you are seeing are actually confidential inputs that are provided to these intelligence agencies. And now this is the reason why this is one among the challenges that are seen with the security covers that are deliberated, that are given to the people. Why? Because these confidential inputs, first of all, are not delivered, are not told to any of the statutory body. They are not even put out in the public domain. So the reason of the confidential inputs, the material in the confidential input, and the reason why a particular person has been accorded the security service is never put transparently out in the public. And that is one of the concerns. This is what hinders the accountability process and builds opacity in the delivering of the services. This can also lead to executive manipulation, and executive manipulation can eventually lead to giving or rendering of the security services not to the person who's genuinely in threat, not on the basis of genuine threat perception, but rather on the basis of potential political or prestige reasons. So for example, a celebrity in India would like to have a Z plus cover. Why? Because this is, or a politician in India, say ex-politicians, say some persons, some Congress leaders, they want Y or Z security covers not because they have threat perception, but because this is a matter of prestige, because they have been historically having it. So these are some of the wrong reasons why the security covers are deliberated. But this is one among the concerns. Before delving into the challenges of the security covers in India and how they are given, let's also first read about the separate or the different protection categories. So where in India, there are total 6 protection categories that are rendered to the VIPs. So these are the X, Y and Z in increasing order of the threat perception and the importance of the person, and also the SPG security, which is of the special protection guard that is provided and rendered only to the Prime Minister and his immediate family members. So the X, Y plus, Z and Z plus and SPG are the 6 levels of the security offered in India to the VIPs. Now, let's talk about the most basic one, the X security. X security contains of an average of 1 to 2 personnels. These armed personnels are the gunmen and they do not include any commandos. Alright, moving to the second higher level, which is the Y. So Y on an average has 11 total personnels including 1 or 2 commandos. Then the highest level of security is given in the Z plus security, where overall up to the maximum of 55 personnel, so 22 to 55 personnel can be deployed, and there you will see that about 10 plus commandos will be given. So this is the case. This is what we are going to render to the Kerala's governor right now. And when you render the commandos and the personnels, especially in the Y and Z plus securities, they are not only for their residence, protection during their residence, or which is called static security, but also for their mobile security. So whenever they are moving along, they will be accompanied by the security personnel. This is for the case of Y and Z kind of category. And then when you talk about the SPG commandos are specially dedicated. Their strength is not revealed, so we cannot tell that, but the SPG commandos are specially dedicated towards giving protection to the Prime Minister of India. Now, the multiple levels of security that are provided are, first of all, the static security, which is provided in the residence, in the area of accommodation of the VIP. Second, the mobile security to accompanying him or her wherever the person is going. Then to his office, his or her office, and finally interstate security is also provided, so that if a person, for example a governor of a particular state, moves to some other state, he is accorded a due security as well. So these are some of the protection categories that we have read. There are total 6 in number. What are the different levels of security and how many personnels are accorded to it? So basically the number of personnels are variable in nature, but at an average we can hit this number, which we have already told you. So these are the 6 levels of security covers. Now, who provides this protection? So as I have told you, the security can be broadly divided into the static security and the mobile security. The static security or the residential security is provided by the state government, because essentially law and order and police is the subject matter of the state list. So therefore residential protection is provided by the state government or the state police. The mobile security though is provided by the central armed police forces, which are responsible for safeguarding the internal security of India. Some of the components are CRPF, CISF and ITBP. So their personnel are engaged for providing the mobile security to the VIPs. There are certain exceptions as well. For example, Prime Minister is specially safeguarded by the Special Protection Guard. And then there is Home Minister, who is safeguarded by CRPF, and National Security Advisor, who is safeguarded by CISF. Now in this case you can see that the involvement of National Security Guard is not seen, because the government intention is finally to reduce the engagement and the burden on the National Security Guard to be providing personal security to the VIP, because that is not fair, because NSG was essentially constituted to provide or to provide the counter-terrorism activities, the counter-terrorism activities in India. So it wouldn't be fair for us to engage these active personnel for anti-terror activities into providing personal security to any person. So therefore you will see that there is now growing disengagement of NSG for providing security services. Now where does the funding come from? So if a person has been acknowledged by the government or is entitled to the security services, then it will be provided to him for free of cost, and it will be completely funded by the government of India. But this will be done on the basis of decision. If you are entitled, then you will be getting it suo motu. But if you are rendered the service because of government's decision, then it will be based on the intelligence assessment that is done by the intelligence agencies, RAW, IB, etc. Then there could be potential cost on some people or some authorities who have been rendered the Z and Z plus kind of security. They have to afford is basically the accommodation of the several security personnels in their own residence or in their areas where they are moving. Then when it comes to any private individual who is asking for the security based on either prestige reasons or based on self-perception of threat, for example, a celebrity, the person would be definitely accorded the security cover in lieu of the money, in lieu of certain remuneration that he has to pay to the personals. So he may be charged for the security cover in this case. Now then, what are the challenges with regards to security cover? The first challenge we have read is the lack of transparency, accountability, and therefore the due opacity in the selection process as to who should be accorded the security cover. So the first thing is that intelligence agencies are working in rather opaque manner. They are not accountable to any statutory body. Only the Ministry of Home Affairs oversight is seen in this case. This opacity raises the concern about the potential manipulation, leading to providing or rendering the services to the one who's not worthy of it. Now, what is the problem when you render such security services to a person who's not worthy? The problem is the drain of resources, the drain especially of the security personnel and related resources of the government, because the cost is overall borne by the government of India. So that is the issue. And then finally, the NSG burden. In many places, you will see the involvement of National Security Guard, and this will drain them, this will burden them unduly, and this will also compromise with the national security of the country. So how can we mitigate these challenges? By accommodating some of the suggestions. These suggestions, first of all, is the rightful threat assessment of the individual to whom these services are being accorded. And this is important because we are already short on resources, especially the security resources. We do not have umpteen amount of it, endless amount of it. So therefore, due resource allocation should be done in a very just manner by having proper and transparent threat assessment. Then the role of state government in ensuring the overall law and order of the state, for example, crowd management, for example, emergency response. This can be done to overall protect not only the VIP but also the public that is surrounding the VIP. So this is the second thing, importance of state government in ensuring the law and order. And finally, we need to enhance the transparency and accountability in the practices performed to give the security services to the VIP in India. So this was about the first topic. Our second topic is about the women in command. As the 75th celebration of Republic Day, celebrated on 26th of January, was marked by women in power. Women in power seen in all the spheres, right from commencing the parade or commencing the march by playing instruments, the playing of instrument done by about 100 women, to marching the first ever all-women tri-services contingent led by Captain Sandhya. All of that was seen during the splendid 75th celebration of Republic Day in India. So now in this article, we will analyze how women grew to power, how they were able to break the glass ceiling, what caused their entry, and what led to them reaching at the commanding positions. So now let's understand women's path to the commanding position and how they managed to break the glass ceilings. So initially, women were not even allowed to enter into the army. It was only in the year 1992 when government for the first time promulgated a scheme, Women's Special Entry Scheme, under which the Defense Ministry and under which the central government gave the permission for the women to enter into the army. So it was a good step, but it was having certain limitations because women can only be commissioned for only 5 years. Only 5 years, as compared to the men counterparts who can be commissioned for 10 years. Because men were coming directly from the SSC recruitment, while the women were coming from the Special Women Induction Scheme. So therefore, there were certain limitations regarding the scheme. This was challenged by the women, and finally, in December 1996, Ministry of Defence decided that in order to bring parity, what we need to do, we need to delete this 5-year clause for the enrollment. And how do we do this? In the year 2005, central government launched another scheme according to which it opened the gates of SSC recruitment for the women as well. well. Now, women can also come through the same route as that of men. This was hitting the parity, but at the same time, it had again more glass ceilings than ever. What were these? So first of all, if you are recruited from SSC, anybody who's recruited from this examination will be eligible to be having commission or for 10 years. But what after the 10 years? The kind of choices that the government gives to men and women were different. So in the case of women, they were allowed to serve for next 4 years. So they were allowed total service period of 14 years as compared to their male counterpart, who after delivering 10 years of services can now opt for either retirement or either opt for permanent commissioning. So they can be made permanent officers in the army, but not the women. And while women were very happy with the SSC program and with the 10-year enhancement of their commissioning period, but they were not very happy because they realized that there is intrinsic glass ceiling to their promotion. Because according to the promotional rules of army, it says that a person becomes eligible to jump or rise up to the rank of colonel or brigadier only after the person has served for up to 16 to 18 years. And this is not made possible for women because they are overall allowed a service of 14 years only. So, in reciprocation of this, some women officials, army officials, went to the Supreme Court, filed a writ petition seeking the right to opportunity. And with this case reached to Supreme Court of India. And Supreme Court of India finally in 2020 will grant the permanent commission to the women in the non-combatant, especially in the non-combatant forces, to all the women in the retrospective effect. That is not only from 2020 but also for the recruits that are recruited before 2020. So now women are also able to apply for the permanent commission in parity with the male counterparts. So this is how governmental decisions along with judicial activism was able to break, and the grit of women were able to break the glass ceilings in the non-combatant roles. So here some of the things happened. First of all, the landmark Supreme Court judgment that you must remember, and second, government also took the decision of opening some combat support role. Please remember, this is not the combatant role. It is still not permitted for the women in army, but for the combat support role, for example in the artillery support, they are still inducted. And this finally, because now they were able to serve in the permanent commission, therefore by getting certain years of experience, they were able to rise to the levels of commands. Okay, so this is the part 2, command. Now, what is the significance of a commanding unit? It has significance both for individual level and at the societal level as well. So first and foremost, at individual level, if I am given more years or equal chances to that of men, I will be able to jump up to high ranking position on the basis of my merit. Second, direct interaction with the troops will help me build leadership skills, will help me the touch of more ground reality, and will help me gain more experience in parity with my male counterparts. And second, this will help me to gain immense amount of leadership experience. This will boost my personality and will also make me a very good example for the upcoming generations and for the women who are seeing me, looking me as an example. That is the first thing. And second, overall, it helps us to break the stereotypes regarding the women, regarding the fragility of the women, the biological restrictions that are imposed on the women. That can all be challenged once the women in army put the positions and deliver them effectively at the command roles. So these are the two significances at both individual level and societal level for commanding, for women coming at a commanding of a unit. Now, what are certain areas of exclusion or certain limitations to women? These are again certain glass ceilings. First of all, as I've already told you, that they are not allowed for the combatant, for the core combatant roles, because it is still considered that women are fragile, not very biologically equipped. And second, because of the concerns of the government regarding the close combatant engagement with the enemies. So because of such reasons, they are still not allowed in infantry, mechanized infantry and armored corps. This is one of the challenges, some of the restrictions. Then second, opening doors in the combat support role. This is a welcoming step from the government of India, where though women are not allowed in the combatant role, but they are allowed in the combatant support role. So their induction in the corps of artillery women is also allowed. Then the NDA induction in this prestigious exam and the prestigious training is also made open for women from 2022. So now women can also apply for NDA services. Then finally, let's look into some global examples which provide women's induction not only in the non-combatant roles but also in the core combatant roles. And these are the most developed countries like USA, UK, Russia, Israel, etc., which have successfully integrated women into leadership positions not only in the non-combatant but also in the combatant roles. So what can we do about it? How can we reinforce or how can we give more push to the women empowerment? First of all, we need to make sure that the women who have reached the commandant roles, they are performing very, very effectively and their roles are successful. And for that, we need to deliver appropriate training to them, provide proper and dedicated targeted support to them. That is the first thing. And second, we need to increase the overall recruitment by introducing more women or by encouraging more women to enter into the army so that they can take the full advantage of the glass ceilings that have been broken down by the preceding generation. So here, increased recruitment by encouraging women so that a larger pool of qualified women candidates can be created so that we can reinforce Nari Shakti into army. Then also, we need to bring cultural shift into the atmosphere or the ethos of the army. So what happens, because it has been mainly male dominated, therefore they are not very welcoming of the women. They do not feel very accommodated or they do not feel very inclusive. So therefore we need to promote a more inclusive and equitable military culture so that the women are more welcomed, celebrated, appreciated, and thought about at the same level as that of male counterparts. And finally, addressing the specific needs. See, we need to recognize that women empowerment doesn't mean that men and women are same. It means that women needs to be provided accessibility without any glass ceilings, without any undue biases, prejudices, or challenges. And for that, we need to recognize that women needs to be supported a little more with the help of certain healthcare facilities, maternity facilities, certain hygienic infrastructure. So that needs to be accommodated in the military ethos and culture as well. So finally, this will help us to enable women empowerment in India, overall in army and also in the Indian society. Now we will talk about a new intervention into curing a very, very deadly disease, malaria. This is the malarial vaccine. And why is this in news? Because on January 22nd, Cameroon, a country in Africa, has become the first ever country in the world to launch a vaccine, the RTS-S malarial vaccine, for its children into its national immunization program. So just like how we have the Indradhanush immunization mission, similarly they have their own mission and into which they have included this malarial vaccine for the first time. Now, first of all, what is the need of a malaria vaccine? Because we already know that certain medications are already available for curing the malaria. But then why are we seeking vaccination? We are seeking vaccination because the growing and the prevalent burden of the malaria disease, especially in the tropical regions. If you talk about the Africa bears total of 94% of the global burden of this disease and 96% of the overall deaths that are caused due to this disease. This is the level of chaos going on in Africa. And what about India? India has the highest burden in Southeast Asia when it comes to the prevalence of malarial disease. So India has more than 66% of the cases that comes from the Southeast Asia. So this global burden, this need creates the demand for more amount of medical intervention that should come in the form of vaccination. So therefore, vaccines are being thought upon by multiple countries, and Cameroon has been a pioneer in developing or in integrating it into the national immunization program. So we know there are many cases, there are many deaths related to it, but who are at the highest level of risk in the spectrum? These are the most vulnerable people are the children under the age of 5 and the pregnant women, and delivering them the very strong and powerful doses of antibiotics that are generally given to people or to adults. That wouldn't be very effective because that can be dangerous for their overall health. So what they need rather is vaccination. So vaccination will be able to prevent disease against the highest risk group. Alright, and this is the country of Cameroon. Equator passes through it. and it shares border with the Gulf of Guinea. So you need to remember some points for this as well. Now let's talk about this disease of malaria. So malaria is not a bacterial disease, it's not a viral disease. It is a parasitic disease which is caused by the parasite mosquito, specially belonging to the genus Plasmodium. Now, depending on the various types of Plasmodium species, it can be categorized broadly into 4 kinds of malaria. It could be Plasmodium falciparum. This is the most deadliest kind of malaria, causing most number of deaths. Then Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium malariae. These are some of the types. And what is the mode of transmission? As we all know, it is because of the sticking of a mosquito or being hit by or bit by a mosquito. And second is also through zoonotic transmission. This you need to remember specially because this can be asked in the form of a statement in prelims. Zoonotic transmission is possible of malaria from macaques, species of monkey or apes, from macaques to humans. That is also possible. So the mode of transmission is through mosquito bites or through zoonotic transmission. Now let's talk about the existing medications. Existing medication spectrum can be broadly divided into 2 types. First is the artemisinin based combination therapies. These are the most preferred first line of defense against malaria, but they are very, very strong compositions, and they also help us to first of all prevent the disease in long run and also to cure it at immediate level. So these are the artemisinin based combination therapy. They are effective against almost all the 4 types of malaria. And the second category is of non-artemisinin type. Non-artemisinin type, and this mostly includes delivering chloroquinone. The problem with chloroquine is that you don't get to have defense against every type of malaria that is caused. It is mostly effective against the vivax malaria type. So therefore it has got certain limitations, but these are the existing medications. Of course, it has got certain challenges. The overdose can cause certain lethal consequences, and overall they are very strong dosages for the higher vulnerable group. Therefore we are opting for vaccination. Now this particular vaccine, the RTS vaccine, has been developed by the GlaxoSmithKline and funded by UNICEF. It helps to protect against the most deadliest malaria parasite, which is falciparum. And obviously it is delivered to the children who are up to age of 5 or pregnant women. So it requires 4 doses for the children up to aged 5 months and above. And please remember, this is not years, this is months, and also 5th booster dose for those in the high risk areas, especially in the tropical regions of Africa. What is India's response? Why India is not creating a malarial vaccine? Well, India is in line in order to fulfill its national strategy or target to eliminate malaria by 2030. This is the targeted year. And for that, we are also developing our own malarial vaccine, which is R21. So if a question comes, what R21 stands for, currently seen in news, the answer is India's malarial vaccine, which is in process and which will be developed by the Serum Institute of India. Now our last topic is about a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which has gained controversy because the district administration of Bellary of Karnataka, where the Hampi sites are located. So one of the Hampi temple, the Virupaksha temple over there, the district administration has started distributing dhotis and towels at the entrance, allegedly imposing a new dress code on the people or on the tourist. So therefore we will read about the Hampi temple and its history from prelims point of view. So first of all, Hampi has been accorded the status of a World Heritage Site by UNESCO because of its grandiose. It is a very grand, it is austere, grandiose site of UNESCO, which means that it is severely relevant and severely grand for it to be ignored. And therefore, Hampi, which is located in the Bellary district of Karnataka, has been accorded the UNESCO World Heritage status in the year 1986. UNESCO says that it is a wonder with many names. Hampi, which basically was the last capital of the Vijayanagar Empire, saw many of its evolution through many of the names. Its name was Pampa Kshetra, Kishkinda from Ramayana, and Bhaskar Kshetra, all because of the name of Tungabhadra River. Tungabhadra River, whose historic name was Pampa River, because of the Pampa Devi who was preached in this region. So because of the name of this river, now you know that which river passes through Hampi. Tungabhadra river passes through Vijayanagar Empire or through the capital, the Hampi city. Now, Hampi city back in the times was also considered as India's wealthiest city. And at that time, actually, in the 16th century, when the Vijayanagar Empire was in its zenith, at that time it was also considered as world's second largest medieval city after Beijing. So this was the grandeur of the Hampi city. Definitely, it has got multiple architectural marvels, and now we can see the ruins of it. It is actually belonging to multiple sects, be it the Shaivite sect or the Vaishnavite sect of Hinduism, but also has monuments of multiple religion, from Hinduism to Jainism. For example, you can see Tungabhadra river passing through it in the Hampi city in the Bellary district. Here you can see that there are Jain Tirth and Mud. You can see the Achyut temple, you can see Veerbhadra temple, you can see Virupaksh temple, you can see Sugriv's cave. So it also says that the Kishkinda region of Ramayana was also nothing but the Hampi region itself. So now let's have a deeper look into the multiple architectural marvels, and all of these group of temples comes into the Hampi complex, which is accorded the World Heritage Site status. So the first one is the Virupaksh temple. Now as you can see that this is a Vijayanagar type of architecture which is mostly derived from the Aihole Pattatkal type from this area, and hence it is also known as the Aihole Pattatkal type of monuments. Then it also has got influence of Islamic cultures. So it has got both Indic elements and Islamic elements, and especially it can be seen in the Lotus Mahal, which we'll be seeing in the later slides. So first of all, let's talk about the most magnificent temple of all, the Virupaksh temple, in which Virupaksh, which is a form of Lord Shiva. So Shiva avatar is placed in it. It was created for the first time by a commander. Please remember, not by Dev Rai II, but by a commander of Dev Rai II. Later it was expanded by Dev Rai II. Then it is a multi-storied Gopuram. It has got a very, very large Gopuram. As you can see, this is a gateway, main gateway, and in front of the Virupaksh temple you will be seeing a monolithic bull. So these are some of the characterizing features which can be asked in the form of question, and you will be made to identify the site. Some of the other examples are the Vaishnavite kind of temple. This is Vitthal temple complex for or commemorating the Vishnu avatar of Vitthal. So this is among the largest and the most grand temple complexes, and this is where the famous charioteer temples that we read in NCRTs etc. that is seen. This Rath temple you can see in the Vitthal temple complex only, and also it has got multiple pillars which are musical in nature, giving out different tunes. So therefore this also is characterized by multiple musical pillars, as you can see. And this was developed by Dev Rai II. This was developed by Dev Rai II, not by the commander, and it was again grown and it was again developed further by Krishna Dev Rai. Then we have got Hazara Ram temple. As the name suggests, it has got 10,000 forms of Vishnu or Ram in the form of the narratives of Ramayana. So that is exhibited across the walls and across the pillars of the Hazara Ram temple. So here the relics portray the celebration of Dashera festival. So this statement can also be asked, and the answer is Hazara Ram temple. And finally, it does not comprise only of the temples but also comprise of a residential complex. This is the Lotus Mahal, specially for the leisure and luxury of the female, of the women who were living at that time, of the empire, of the queens. So therefore, this is inside the Zanana enclosure where the women resides. This is exhibiting both Indic style and Islamic style. So this is the Lotus Mahal. So these are some of the architectural elements of the group of monuments of the Hampi. So this was all about today's discussion. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you so much and have a nice day.